Give it up for Josh Johnson!
I don't know. Yeah, maybe y'all saw, maybe you didn't see. Maybe, I mean, people can only watch so much news, you know? But y'all saw the president at the UN. This is... I didn't see everything as it was happening. I heard about some stuff later, right? So then I got a text message from my friend. They were like, oh, did you see what happened at the UN? I'm like, no, I didn't see what happened at the UN. And they explained to me that, you know, he was getting on escalator and then the escalator stopped. Now, I thought at the time, I thought it was going very differently. I thought the escalator stopped on like a down escalator. That would have been a big deal. Imagine you on escalator. You have belief. You get on a down escalator, you're like, all right, this is gonna take me where I need to go. No need for a seatbelt. If that thing just stops, the momentum, whoa! Now the president's falling down the steps, so I thought that's what happened. Then I watched the video and I saw that he just walked up to the escalator, stepped on the escalator, and the escalator broke. And you saw him stand at the bottom of the escalator like, what? And Melania didn't miss a beat. She just started walking up the escalator. And so there were people that were like, this was sabotage. UN needs to be investigated. Somebody needs to be arrested, right? But then he made it up the escalator / stairs. And he went to speak to the UN. Went to speech for the whole of the UN. He's standing here, UN, over there. And as soon as he goes to start, the teleprompter broke. We know the teleprompter broke because he told us. As soon as he walked up, he told us, teleprompter broke. First the escalator, teleprompter broke. Nothing here work. Nothing. No, teleprompter. And it's like, look, if you're delivering a speech and it's been, you know, uploaded to the teleprompter, then the teleprompter breaks, all right, like, that is something to be annoyed or caught off guard about. But I'm sitting there watching like, why do you care that the teleprompter, you're not gonna read it, like you're not. Every speech is off the dome. Every speech you can tell every speech he's over here freestyling every time. Why do you even have a speechwriter? You know the president's speechwriter right now gotta be the easiest job in the world. You just over here typing up chapters from Great Expectations, knowing he's not gonna read it. Knowing he's just gonna go, you know what I mean? He goes off of vibes. What do you care that the teleprompter's broke? You weren't gonna look at it. You might have read the first couple sentences and then been like, you know what? I'm gonna speak from the heart. And so the teleprompter broke it, you know? And so he's like, I guess I'll just have to. Which was also wild because the speech was printed out in front of him. But he was like, no, you want me to turn pages? No. Then proceeds to, you know, give this address to the UN, and depending on who you talk to. Depending on whose opinion you're listening to, it did not go fantastic. Because the energy of the speech was like the normal energy. It was like rally energy, you know, like talking to his base or something. But this is the UN. They don't live here. Like some of the stuff they don't care about. Like you talking to the UN. Everyone's here. He's over here like I inherited a mess and we fixed it and like years ago we were down in the dumps and now we're the hottest country in the world. He keeps saying we're the hottest country in the world and I don't know what that means. I feel like even the UN was like, so what? Climate change? What does it mean the hottest? This is also wild because like you talking to other countries right now. Why are you dunking on them right now? Then dudes over here, I ended like 7 wars. And it's just funny because like everybody he talking about is there. So now some of these countries look at each other across the desk like, I don't know. I didn't even, what did I say? Nah, it was incredible. And then there was a weird thing. I think it was Brazil. He was talking about the leader of Brazil and how, like, first of all, this dude also tariffing everybody. So then he was talking about how he doesn't do deals with people he doesn't like, but then he had a good handshake with the leader of Brazil, so maybe they could work something out. Even Brazil had to be like, yo, I don't know. I just saw him in the hallway. Out here trying to be cordial. I don't even know if this is good. Was this good? No, it's phenomenal performance. Truly, I've not seen anything like it. Just over here. I'm sure if you were at the UN just sitting there, you just sitting there quietly listening, looking over at other countries. There's some countries that had just be chuckling. Like countries that aren't in the mix, you know what I mean? Like if you're not like a key member of BRICS or you're not, you know what I mean? Like if you're not like in the news in that way, you just come, you enjoy the show. You know? Like I imagine maybe Zimbabwe might have been cracking up. They'd be like, that's your friend. That's your friend. But that wasn't the only incredible performance. That wasn't the only press conference. Because they held a press conference. Because they found it. They found it. They nailed it down. They found the cause. That's what they said. No one gathered everybody together, got the press conference going on. Looked like it was in the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were going to talk about the causes that they had found, the root cause of autism. This is what they said. And so, they walk in and you had Dr. Oz. Dr. Osmosis himself. You know Dr. Ozymandias. Like, Dr. Oz is standing there. And like, why? How did this happen? If we are just gonna start putting people from TV in real, like, government position, in real medical field, can we at least get somebody from, like, Grey's Anatomy or something? You know what I mean? Like, if we are already not being serious, can we not be serious better? Who is checking for Dr. Oz besides Oprah? Who is... He's standing there, doesn't even really look that healthy himself. This man's advice so far has been actually insane. They've done interviews with him. He's, spoken to the public. Like, what would you suggest for Americans? The man's out here. If you want to, if you don't, look. If you don't want to be sick, be healthy. I wish I was joking. I would, like, I can barely take credit for that one. I changed like 2 words. So you got Dr. Oz from TV on one side. And then you have y'all know who he is. And then you have RFK Jr. on the other side, looking odder than usual. If y'all saw it, you know what I'm talking about. RFK Jr. showed up. I don't know what's happening. Because it wasn't like a tan. Like, he looked like a bruised blueberry. Like, he looked wild, and nobody addressing it. Nobody saying anything. The president over here just trying to not use his peripheral vision. RFK Jr. is white. No, that is a white man. He's white. He's a white guy. But that's the first time I've ever seen a white guy and been like, he is colored. Like that. Yo, my man, what is happening? He just stand there like he's been holding his breath for 26 years. This is very bad. And then, I don't know who told him. I imagine it could have been somebody, higher up, but it could even just been an aide that told the president, okay, you're going to give this press conference, you're going to talk about links to autism, and what you need to do, this is very important, for legal, this is very important for a lot of reasons, what you need to do is say the name of the drug. Then you can go on and say the brand name. But you need to say the name of the drug, because the drug is what we're saying is the link, not one particular brand. So there are other like store brands that are this drug. You need to say the drug. Say the drug. You have to say the drug. Okay? Say the drug. And I'm sure he attacked it with that regular, bravado. I'm gonna say it, whatever. Get out of here. Let me work. Let me get in the zone, all right? I got you in my ear. I got him over here being purple. Let me work. Man goes up, starts the speech. It's rolling. It's rolling with it. And then he hit a more than 8-letter word. And then the commander-in-chief, leader of the free world, in real time, in front of us, the American public, technically the whole world, because the internet, our leader in front of the nation, at a press conference they called. Our leader in real time sounded it out. I try really hard. No matter who somebody is, no matter the background, no matter the situation, really treat people like equals, not like look at people a certain type of way. We all struggle. We all have our different strengths and weaknesses and everything. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it. If you are 80 and you haven't attacked a word before, maybe it's just not a word you ever going to get. Like if you... It's late. It's late for him to be sounding out new words. Because the word, he could see the word coming up. And sounded it out confidently too, just over here, some toast, and it's not like it was in the mic. You couldn't hear it into the mic, but you could tell Dr. Oz was standing there trying to do hard ventriloquism. Just... Dr. Oz was standing there like, just open your mouth, let me do it. Just... Dr. Oz was fighting to just, you could see him. See him in the face. I see him in the face. I said, Tom, I see Trump, see him, man. I knew when he looked around, we were cooked. Like I knew it. When that man looked up from the paper, I was like, no, stay on it, stay on it. Stay with it, you almost got it. I was, Tom, I see him, I see him in a film. I see him in a film. I see him in a film. I see him in a Tylenol. And like that. That is also wild, too. Gave us the full, what is it, Porky Pig? Gave us the full... Quit Tylenol. And he was hitting those T's, that Tylenol, extra hard. He was getting his payback with those T's. Tylenol, don't take that Tylenol. When y'all see Tylenol, because it was rough. It was rough. It was like you've been in third grade before. You remember when a teacher, I didn't even know this at the time, but it was basically when a teacher had like a hangover, and so then the teacher would just make y'all read the book to each other. At the time, I really thought it was about learning, and now that I'm grown enough to have friends that are teachers, I'm like, no, you had a bender. That's what this is. Don't try to put this off on the students. You seeing double right now. And so it would be, your turn would be coming up. And you would do a thing. Somebody would be reading over here, and you start counting people and counting paragraphs. And then you read ahead a little bit so that when it's your time to read your paragraph, you're reading your paragraph all fast and everything. People can't even retain the information. Then, there'd always be that one kid. There'd be that one kid where it's like, when you get to his paragraph, that's going to last till the end of class. So you literally count your paragraph till you have to read, and then you count paragraphs, and you like, the bell gonna ring here. Sometimes to be a kid, everybody learns differently. We all have different abilities, and you do your best to be as patient as possible. I remember, I had one kid in my class that we would do that, and then his paragraph be coming up, and as soon as his paragraph start, everybody's like, and then he would start, and he would be sounding it out, and then hit the word, and then sounding it out. Everybody learns at a different pace. Sounding it out, hit the word. Sound it out, hit the word. Sometimes he'd even go back, sound it out, hit the word, say the last 3 words together. He's learning. We're all learning. Everybody moves in their own time. But sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I was a kid too. I wasn't always patient. Sometimes he'd be sitting there and be like, and I'd be like, A, it's A, it's A, it's A, it's A. You already hit it. It's A, it's A. There's nothing left to do. It's A, it's A. It is A. You did it. High five. You did it. It's A. It's only A. And then you grow up and you mature and you realize that everybody's good at stuff. People aren't as good at stuff and everything. Because I'll tell you what, I could read, when I was a kid, I could read, very good at reading. My math wasn't great. So then when it came to math, it was me who was like a little bit behind all the time, especially when we got to like algebra. Because I could factor a little bit. I understood denominators and stuff like that. Like I felt like I was keeping up and everything. But when we hit algebra, all of a sudden the tables were turned. This is why you have to be as patient with people as you want them to be with you. Because I'm sitting there, and for the first time, there's letters. There's letters in the math problem, but I'm sitting over here like, and then he was sitting there like, it's 4, it's 4, it's 4. And so, he's over there. He went ahead and dunked on that acetaminophen, and then went ahead and started saying Tylenol, started describing to the people things that were not on the paper in front of him. Which is why you definitely shouldn't be upset when the teleprompter doesn't work. You know is what you're gonna do. This man was just throwing out all types of wild claims. This dude was like, hey, look, The Amish? The Amish don't have any autism. And a couple times in this press conference, he would say something, then turn to somebody and be like, is that true? My man, no, it's all on the paper. They put it all on the paper. You had RFK Jr. turn from purple to red. Because then he just started going off on like vaccines in general. You know, and just started saying like, look, you know, it's too much. It's too much. And he's not the first person, he's not the only person to be saying that. It's too much at one time. You know, you got those beautiful babies and you shooting them up with 80 shots of liquid. The thing that stuck out to me about the liquid thing is that you could tell he wanted to say juice. You could tell he's like, they put too much juice in them babies. Nobody need all that vaccine juice. No, it was truly wild. And then it was over. And then it was over. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be on the board of Tylenol. If you're on the board of Tylenol watching this press conference, you over here probably on a whole roller coaster of emotions. Like, at first you'd be sweating because they had let it slip several times that this is basically what the topic was going to be and what was going to be said. It had been like, you know, pieced out, little flavor, little sprinkle here and there for the media all the way up until that press conference, right? But then, when they actually said it, I'm sure Tylenol was stressing when they said this is what the press conference was going to be about. This is what they were going to talk about. You work at Tylenol, you sitting there, edge of your seat. And then he goes to say the name of the drug, and you're probably like, this might not be that bad for us, honestly. Like, he almost said a cinnamon. We might be in the clear here. All we gotta do is come out with a label, no cinnamon in our product. We'll be fine. And then he says your brand name. Then he says your brand name over and over again. And now you're like, that's not good. That one came out perfectly. And then he talks about the Amish, and you're like, I guess if people watch the whole thing, they'll be confused enough to not know if they should take it or not. Because my thing is, look, why have such an unforced error? You know what I mean? Go ahead. You already got Caroline Levitt talking to the media all the time. Get her out there to start the thing. Get her to say the name of the drug and then walk off. Then you can go and just go off your vibes and everything. You had two people on either side of you that probably say the name of the drug all the time. Don't let him, but let Dr. Oz say it. Let him earn his keep. No, he over here supposed to be a doctor. Got the shortest name I've ever seen. Because I do my best to be up on the news, but I don't always want to talk about, politics and stuff. Sometimes there's stuff that happens that has nothing to do with anything political, and it just warms your heart to see it. You'll see a news story that captivates you, and it doesn't take you into like any sort of polarized position, Like I saw this South Carolina teacher that got arrested got arrested for using fart spray on the students as a punishment. Look, I'm not a teacher. I come from like a family of teachers, people that work in education. And like kids have always and will always drive adults insane. It's like part of the bargain that we have. Is part of the truce, you know? It's like y'all won't do a Lord of the Flies. Y'all just be bad in school and we'll pay the bills. And like, I can't imagine what it's like to teach, especially now. You have kids who genuinely, because of like lockdown and COVID and stuff like that, missed out on little pieces. You have adults now who missed out on like a full college experience. You also have little kids who missed out on having their friends over and, being able to socialize at a very specific point in their life. So everybody's been like knocked off their kilter a little bit by COVID and by lockdown, not being able to just be with each other. That's just, a fact. And because of how school was going in that time, you have people who are really behind because they didn't have that special attention. You had to do school on Zoom with a bunch of other students, and maybe a kid needed help and they couldn't get it immediately, not in the way you can get it when you're present, I can't imagine what it would be like right now to be in school, sitting there trying to do my algebra like zzz, 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 zzz. And so then the kids come back to school and, some of them are excited to see their friends. Some of them are still trying to learn how to socialize. Some of them, maybe aren't as affected as others. But kids will be kids. Kids will be loud. They won't listen, all that stuff. And then what do you do if you're a teacher? You got teachers out here fighting for their lives just to try to teach you some English. You see videos of it all the time, teachers going through it because students don't want to listen, all this stuff. This is the person that's just trying to make sure you know how to spell. So one day, if you make it all the way to the White House and you have to address the nation, you won't be like, sematosis. And so if you're a teacher, you know what I mean? What do you do? Like my teachers used to yell. Teachers yell. It happens. Hey, stop! And you can tell. There's a certain yell, especially when you got like a male teacher. There's a certain yell that you can tell you broke him because his voice cracked. You know what I mean? Like, if he's like, hey, hey, y'all, chill out, right? And he's had enough of it, and maybe you're the first period of the day. You know what I mean? Y'all being a little loud. Hey, listen up, right? Something happened at about 5th period and on, where if you really got him at his wits' end, he'd be like, hey! Can't even help you people. That's how you can tell. That's how you can tell when a teacher really at the edge, when they just start talking to the students like they are society. Like it's like you do your best, You go to a state school to save money because you know you're not going to make it here. You got a passion for Spanish, so you try to teach it to you knuckleheads. Just truly, teacher ready to cry. Over here, you get that third shut up. Sometimes that third shut up doesn't have any bass behind it. It sounds a little shut up! Leaning against the board. I don't know what to do. And so what do? You know what I mean? Yelling doesn't work. You can't hit them. Somebody came up with a plan. Somebody was like, all right, y'all don't respect me? Okay, y'all don't respect me? You will respect this. Because I've read different reports. Some reports say he was like doing a prank or whatever. Some reports say he was like mad about whatever. But I'm telling you, he could have done it for any amount of reasons. Maybe this dude didn't take his job seriously. Maybe, he was out here just trying to prank for fun. He's somehow like a teacher's assistant, whatever, and still hadn't like grown up. So then he's over here. Ooh, look at you, stinky. Ooh. Ooh, stink butt over here. Ooh. Maybe. But maybe he had enough. You can only take so many spitballs to the back of the neck before you snap. Maybe this dude came in one day and was like, all right, look, I hate that it's come to this. I really do. But please believe me, if you talk all the time or you never talked before, anybody can get it. All right? I'm not going to lose my voice this week because y'all don't want to learn. Anybody can get it. Anybody. I'm going to put it right here. And I'm begging y'all not to test me. As soon as somebody's talking to their friend, he's like, what? He must have been brandishing it. He must have been wielding it because apparently, like, from what I read, like 100 parents complained or something. This dude got arrested, and then I think they said like 2 students went to the hospital or something like that. And I'm sure you over there in interrogation tried to defend yourself. They should have thought about that asthma when they were doing all that talking, all right? How do we know it was a spray? What if it was that talking that caused the asthma attack? Over here, mouth moving 100 miles a minute. I'm trying to teach something. Listening is easy to breathe. Because I wonder how much he must have done it. You know what I mean? Was it just off of anything? Just one little noise? Huh? Or did he wait? Was he like writing on the board, letting the chatter sort of build? And then that's the thing. When you're a kid in class, you always think you're good if you're just not as loud as the loudest person. But that noise rises the entire level of the volume, because now if everybody's talking a little bit, somebody's going to get a little bit more confident, get a little louder. Everybody starts talking a little louder. And as long as they're not as loud as the loud one, now everybody's basically screaming just so they can hear themselves because they're all doing so much talking. And next thing you know, he whips around. Hey! Y'all gonna learn today. Because even the school said that he did $55,000 worth of damage. How? It must just be in the walls now.
All right, so I want you guys to get loud and proud for your headliner, Josh Johnson!
Sometimes you hear things that stick with you forever, right? Like one of the things that I heard in school was it was one Newton's laws. It's an equal but opposite reaction, right? And it's like a law of physics, but it's also a law of people to a certain degree. Except we don't agree on what equal is. Do you know what I mean? Like if somebody does you dirty and then you want revenge, whenever you feel satisfied, your friends, your family might look at you like you crazy. Like you're like, oh, you didn't have to do all that, right? You know what I mean? Your friends and family might even tell you, hey, stop, you got them. You got them, I swear you got them, right? And you're like, no, it's not enough. Like, because you locked in, right? You locked into revenge. Maybe, look, also because of how the world works and because of how we're all entering and exiting each other's lives, sometimes you make somebody pay for the sins of other people. Sometimes they did you dirty, but they didn't do all of it. That's not their whole fault. Like you clearly let out some demons on somebody else. You especially know you're doing it if you accidentally call them the wrong name. You know what I mean? You know, like you it's your last day at work, you quitting. You quitting this job and they ain't done you dirty too many times and you're sick of it, right? And then at the last second, when you cursing your boss out and you telling him where he can shove it and you can tell him how he treated you and how he no longer has any power over you and you can tell him to go right to hell and then you accidentally say, Dad. And then both y'all have to sit with that for a second, like. Now the exit interview is awkward, right? Because you were on a roll. You had that whole speech prepared. That dad thing came out of nowhere, right? It was okay. There was this one time when I was living in Chicago that I was near Wrigleyville. And Wrigleyville, if you don't know, that's where the Cubs play. And it's like the ratchet bar broy type part of Chicago, right? So there's a lot of fights for no reason. There's a lot of like catcalling. There's just so much chaos happening, and it's all stuff that is like not. It doesn't faze you as much when you're like in your early 20s, right? You're just like, oh, I'm out where the party is. And I think if you go back there at like 30, you'll be like, ooh. Everyone here should call their mom. Everybody should. You know? But while I was out there, there was this guy that was walking and he was drunk. He had that like... I've never seen anybody walk like this. Like he really was walking like his feet couldn't find the ground. And it's always gonna be there. It's always every time. But he was like, And I couldn't believe he wasn't falling. He was staying upright and everything. And this guy was passing. And this guy was passing with his girlfriend. And the drunk guy, as they pass him, he clocks the girlfriend. And he just casually, like, spins on a heel and slaps her ass, right? Yeah, so she notices. She very much notices. And it's crazy. Almost all this could have been prevented because he's so off his balance that he almost missed, right? He almost had a very different night. And so basically he slaps her ass and then she turns around and then her boyfriend turns around. Now he has not withdrawn his hand fast enough for the boyfriend to not know what just happened, right? So then he turns around and this guy is like, the drunk guy is bigger than the guy whose girlfriend just got her ass slapped. So even though that dude goes like toe to toe with him in the next moment, I was still worried about the little guy because the little guy was little, right? And even in his drunken state, he's still like aware enough to know he was big enough to be an asshole, right? Because instead of apologizing or anything like that, he's like, what you gonna do, little man? What you gonna do, right?
And he didn't say it like that. He was like, what's he gonna do, little man? What you gonna do, little man? What you gonna do, man? Huh? Ain't nobody. What you gonna do, little man? And little dude wasn't little for long. Because he popped that dude square in the mouth. And then big dude finally found the ground, right? And I had never seen this before in real life, but little dude didn't just fight him. He started doing actual wrestling moves on the street, right? This man, girlfriend Ben stepped out of the way, and this man goes... This man went like, this dude was going off, right? And it got to the point where even as a bystander, I was like, I think you got him. I think you got him. Because the big dude is not getting up at a certain point. He tried to get up the first time, and him trying to get up was hilarious because, okay, so let me see if I can do it. So he over here like this, right? So he on the ground. And then he tries to like, because he's so drunk, he doesn't know he on the ground, so he tries to walk up. This man tried to walk up while he was getting hit. He was getting hit in his face, and he was like, what is stopping me? It's crazy. What's happening? And then he really tries to like walk up, and then he finds the ground with his hand, and then he goes, you gonna stop hitting me in my damn face. And then when he said that, the dude uppercut him, and he went flat back down, right? And then the beating did turn a little bit too much into dancing, right? Like then the beating, because then he started to do stuff that was not even wrestling moves anymore. He was just like, pow! To the point where even his girl was like, hey, you got him. But you could tell, you could see it on his face that something deeper was bothering him than just this moment, right? Because if you're not, and I'm speaking on the behalf of men who are not big, right? If you are not a big man, you've probably been punked a couple times in your life, right? Or at least someone tried to punk you because they didn't know they shouldn't try you, right? And so then that stuff starts to well up, and then out of nowhere you finally have a righteous opportunity to exercise all of that anger, so then you let loose. And when you don't stop, people are like, damn. And I said that because that's the best way I can illustrate what happened between Kendrick and Drake. Because Drake makes his little like club beats, and he does his little, and he's a good rapper, don't get me wrong, he's a good rapper, but he makes his little like get drunk to this type songs, dance and everything. And then he was calling out Whitney, Kendrick's wife, because that's what he likes to do. He likes to attack rappers by their wife. If you look through his catalog, he does it every time. And then Kendrick said, okay. I promise you, nothing but sweet chin music. I'm ready. All right? Because I think in order to understand, I really don't think people get it. In order to understand how important and powerful that pop-out concert was, you have to understand Nipsey Hussle. Okay? Nipsey Hussle was a rapper that a lot of people, at least as many people as I think should know, don't know. But what is one of the most important things about Nipsey Hussle, and what he would probably want you to know about him and remember about him, besides the fact that he was a phenomenal artist, is that he spent his time, his money, his attention, and all of his intention in improving the lives of the people that grew up around him, improving his community. Okay? This dude would pay for shoes for kids in elementary school that didn't have them. He would get repaved basketball courts that were in disarray, right? He would pay and help raise funds for funerals of victims and their families of gun violence, right? And this is all in his neighborhood. So the same way that people come up, he tried to bring everybody with him. That was his mission. He made it his mission because, yes, he was a great artist and he was getting on and everything, but you just getting out is not enough, right? Sometimes people make it out and then people don't, how do I put this? It's not enough if you just make it out. You want to bring people with you. Imagine you're in a burning building and so is your whole family. What credit is it to you? What does it really say about you if just you make it out? It means you ran out and you left everybody else. And Nipsey was like, I will die in a burning building if it means I get as many people out as possible, right? You know? Because it's very easy. It's one of the easiest things to do because all of your experience is relative to you, right? So you actually, as much as we may look down on it, you can't always fault someone who forgets where they came from. Especially if you came from a bad place. Sometimes you try to forget where you came from. You know? I used to think about that. I was like, damn, if I get rich enough, I won't be able to find this place on Google Maps. You know? But I mean it. It's like that's an amazing thing. And the other amazing thing, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but Nipsey did so much good. He did so many impactful things. He started so many programs and he taught how to give back and he taught people while he was still alive. It's like I want to instruct Black Americans on how to build franchises for themselves, right? So that when we make the money, we'll know what to do with the money, right? And he did all this with what I would consider very little money. Because yes, he was a big artist, and yes, he was a millionaire. But when he passed, when he was murdered, his net worth was about $8 million. And I think that people don't recognize how low that is in the grand scheme of how rich some of these artists are. We have artists that are billionaires, right? We have artists that are on track to be billionaires. And they don't do what he did with so much, with literally a fraction of what they had, right? And so I think it's important in order to understand that pop-out concert, it's important to understand Nipsey and what he stood for and what he was trying to do. It's also important to at least understand the image and the legacy of Kobe. Because Kobe was also this integral part of LA, integral part of sport, right? And no matter what you think about the man himself, what he did in basketball, the passion that he had, his obsession with his passion is exactly what he wanted to impart on people for whatever it is that they do. Whatever it is you do. It doesn't have to be entertainment. It doesn't have to be a sport. It could just be the passion you have for being a father, right? If your obsession is being the best at whatever your passion is, you will make an impact, right? It's why to this day, and when I was little, if I have a ball of paper and a trash can is far enough away, Kobe. And if I make it, I lose my mind. You know? And so it's also important, no matter what you think of the man himself. Kendrick is someone that both of these individuals showed love to. And he's someone that has an obsession for his passion, which is music. And he's also someone that through his music, and at least in the intention of how he speaks in every interview and in everything that I've read about him, wants to give the same way that Nipsey gave, right? And sort of be a beacon for those same principles. So then, we have something like the Pop-Out concert, which is on Juneteenth, which is a liberation day for Black people, right? And then they all come together. And when I say they, I mean every section, every known and probably unknown section of LA's gang members were in one place at the same time. That's crazy. They were all there. And everyone made it about the beef, and he played the diss tracks. Of course they do. But it was bigger than that. There was a 4-hour concert with artists from all over LA, all over West Coast, putting on, making their amazing music shown to the world. And there was even a little detail, like, I haven't verified this thing, but I heard about it, and I know of someone that, at least I think it happened to, where the concert tickets sold so fast that I guess they were checking zip codes. And if you didn't live in or around LA or the West Coast, they were refunding people so that people in LA could go to the concert, right? Because the thing that Kendrick gives, at least to me, the thing that Nipsey gave, at least to me, and the thing that Kobe gives to a certain degree is an appreciation and a strengthening of community. Community is very important. And just because you're not a member of a particular community doesn't mean you can't help, doesn't mean you can't feel a part of it. But if you're in a community, it's important to give back. I think that's the thing I'm trying to establish, right? Is that if you're a part of a community, it's important to give back, right? Which is why, outside of any colorism, outside of any part of the beef, the thing that bothered people, and the thing that I think gets missed because people want to be fans in whole of a person and their work, and it's just not possible. You know what I mean? It's not. You don't actually know the person, so maybe they made a good thing, and maybe you like it, and that can be enough, right? So this isn't to discredit the entirety of someone making work and then also having to back up that work with being an angel. But I think what bothers people is that community is sometimes equal to culture. So if you're not a member of a community and you take from the community, let's say you're a business that moves in and all you do is sit there and let the people spend money, and then you send that money away from the people who spent the money, that you put that. What place do you have here? We're trying to build something, we're trying to build up. And you're just taking, right? And I understand business is business, but you're just taking. And I think that's what bothers a lot of artists about Drake. It's not that he's light skinned, whatever. It's literally, I promise you, it's the fact that you're not actually trying to be or in the community, but you take, and what do you give? You're a billionaire unto yourself. Who else did you get out the house?
Preach.
Because Nipsey did so much, and he did it, and he left with a net worth of $8 million. How many hundreds of millions? How many hundreds of millions does Drake have? And I'm not telling anybody how to spend their money. I'm just saying that when we look at who's doing what and when they're doing it, you got a lot left. So when you have a concert like that, right? When you have a concert that's a day of liberation and you've grabbed all of these different sections out of LA, you gotta understand what it is for some of these people to be in the same room. By any other metric of any other time, they would be in the streets killing each other. And now they're all inside in one place right now, right? So I think that's what got so many people so emotional about that moment when they were all on stage together dancing together, dancing the way, and I understand that there are lots of black people who don't have the take that I have about it, that think that any mention or any semblance of gang culture shouldn't be equated to any part of blackness, and I understand that, but I'm saying we are where we are, right? Those are black people, and yes, they've been in situations and they've been in conditions where they are gang members, but if you have a day like the Pop-Out concert, and you have another day like the Pop-Out concert, you have another day like the Pop-Out concert, all of a sudden, all this stuff, it just disintegrates. Do you know what I mean? It's all about a future, right? You had more gang members than any of, we do not know how many gang members were on that stage, but they were all dancing together. And sure, it was to call Drake a pedophile. I understand that. I understand. They had to dance to something, right? And so it was actually fascinating to watch because there were clearly a lot of people on that stage that did not want to be on the camera. They didn't want to, you know what I mean? They didn't want to be on the Amazon. Because even if I think one of the reasons people are having trouble finding the words to describe what an impactful and beautiful moment it was is because to tell the whole of it is not only hard to do, it does feel a little like snitching. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, he was there and he was there and he was there, now all of a sudden the LAPD is like, tell me more. You know? And so maybe for the good of unity, the good of the community, maybe even the good of the culture, maybe Drake should try one more time. Maybe he should.
Mira, 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 mira.